Welcome. If you're listening to this, you've probably been pretty deep into exploring Hethereau yourself. Maybe you've spent your evenings drifting through the neon-lit streets of Bridge Crossing, or perhaps you've just watched the sky turn a shade of purple that reality shouldn't allow. I'm Nif, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. Neverness to Everness is a massive game, not just in its open world, but in the sheer weight of its lore. Between the Bureau of Anomaly Control, the secret histories of the Avon Antique Shop, and the shadow of the Scarlet Letter, there's a lot to unpack. So this video is designed to be a long-form audio experience. I've structured it to be your companion. Whether you're currently grinding out commissions in the game, driving around the city, or doing laundry in real life, or even sitting in traffic in real life, I hope that this could be a fun experience for you to connect the dots of the story in version 1.0. We're going to break down every major beat. From the moment you first manifest as the Appraiser, through the chaotic high-stakes heists and the bizarre urban legends of the city, all the way to the tragic gothic finale of the Constantine estate. We'll look at the characters, the hidden context, and the rules of the world that make Neverness to Everness so much more than just a supernatural urban RPG. So get comfortable. This is the complete story of Neverness to Everness version 1.0, with a little bit of my opinion sprinkled in here and there. So before we get to the actual plot, we have to understand the rules of Hethereau. This isn't your typical fantasy world. This is a modern Japanese-style metropolis where the supernatural, what the game calls anomalies, is just another Tuesday. The Bureau of Anomaly Control, think of the BAC as the DMV combined with the CIA. They're the government body that manages these anomalies, these disturbances in everyday life. If an anomaly pops up, the BAC dispatches anomaly hunters. These are licensed professionals, kind of like bounty hunters. These are people with Esper abilities, who are legally allowed to use their abilities to neutralize threats. Think of like the quirks in My Hero Academia and how they're able to like get their hero license and stuff. That's what we are as anomaly hunters. And then we're introduced to ETD-4. These are the elites, the elite tactical division, the special forces. And we're introduced to them when the sky literally starts tearing open and bleeding and people start going crazy. That's when the BAC sends in ETD-4. And then there's us. We play as Zero, Esper Zero, also known as the Appraiser. Now here's the kicker. We are the city's first unlicensed hunters. Usually that would get you thrown in a cell, which you can explore the jail in this game, but that's not really a part of the story. But we're a little bit different. We have an uncanny second ability to locate the hypervortex nexus, which is the heart of an anomaly. While the BAC generally uses sensors and other technology to find the core of these anomalies, the Appraiser just feels it. You just get a little spider sense and you feel it. And so this makes us very valuable and a big asset to the BAC. The director of the BAC, Alfred, just can't look over this. It's not something that she can ignore. So she keeps an eye on us. The story kicks off with a very massive visual statement. We're not in the streets. We're not just like cruising around. We're not getting picked on by a gang of bullies, but instead we're in the sky above New Helios, where a massive unprecedented anomaly is infecting the clouds. The tutorial as a narrative is a really cool way to get kicked off into the game. The game smartly puts us in the shoes of the Elite Tactical Division 4. First, we get to play as Lacrimosa, which, if you know me, you know that that's the character that I most want to be playing. And then you get to play as Skia, and then you get to play as Fadia. We get to see how the pros do it. The combat's fresh, it's fast, it's reactive, but even with the Elite Tactical Division's training, they're struggling. This anomaly might be a little bit too big, but then suddenly, a mysterious figure appears. That's us, Esper Zero. Without a license, without a squad, we pinpoint the nexus and chop it in half. It's like a hero entrance, but it comes with some consequences. We don't get a medal, but instead we kind of get escorted to the Bureau of Anomaly Control and we have to meet with the director. So we get taken to the BAC. In the BAC we meet Nellie. She's the professional face of the organization, and I'm pretty sure she might just be like a glorified receptionist or something, but she takes us to meet Alfred, who is the director of the BAC. Alfred is one of those characters who clearly knows a lot more than we do and doesn't really tell us what's going on, but while we're still at the intro of the game, she already has a plan going for us. Instead of arresting us, she cuts us a deal. You're being sent to a small antique shop called Avon in the Bridge Crossings district. Think the Odd Jobs shop in Gintama if you've ever watched that anime. It's just a ragtag gang of anomaly hunters. But you'll be an unlicensed anomaly hunter under their supervision. It's essentially a work release program for, a supernatural being who can, smell anomalies. Before you can even leave the BAC though, a containment breach happens, right in the Buru. This introduces us to Mint, the energetic cat girl who becomes our primary partner for this mission. We enter our first anomaly space. This is where Neverness to Everness's art design really shines. The world becomes a frame. You're fighting through a tunnel that morphs into a rail carriage. It's claustrophobic and surreal. It culminates at Alice's Bakery, where we fight R3707, the picture frame anomaly. It's a simple boss, but it really sets the tone. In Hethereau, even a bakery isn't safe from the other side. After we take out this giant picture frame through loving it and telling it it's beautiful, we get to take things a little bit slower. Things really start to slow down as we get to Avon. Mint takes us to Bridge Crossings, which feels like the lower east end of Hethereau. It's cozy, it's lived in, it's a bit messy. They got the coffee shops, the cafes. I pretty much just said the same thing twice. But they've got Avon Antique Store, and that's where we're headed. Avon isn't just a shop. It's kind of like a family of misfits. When you arrive, you're immediately ambushed by Tageydo, everybody's favorite little otter TV anomaly, oddity, whatever it is. He's part anomaly, part mascot, 100% annoying. We have to shrink down and fight him as a mini boss. We then get smacked upside the head by Hethereau as a tiny little shrunken Esper Zero. And then we meet the family. We've got Adler, the mature, authoritative figure who runs the shop. We've got Nonnally, the high energy, high ego mob boss who thinks that she's the head of the greatest family in the city. She's also got some really fun voice lines that you never get tired of, I promise you. And then you've got Sakiri and Kiramaru, a symbiotic duo. Think Venom, but less Venom, more demon stand from JoJo's. And they show you just how weird Esper powers can be. And then we got Edgar and Daffodil. We've got the quiet little researcher boy and Daffodil, who's pretty mysterious and we don't know a whole lot about until later on in the story. After experiencing that fun game mechanic where we all get shrunk down and have a Honey I Shrunk the Kids boss fight with Tageydo, we get to move on to our first commission with Avon, the Kodak Commission. This is our first proper job, and it comes from Kodak, a local photographer. This quest is essential because it introduces the object type anomalies. His studio is being haunted. As you investigate, you encounter the Viewfinder, an anomaly that literally takes photos of you to trap you in the anomaly realm. It's like the Shadow Realm in Yu-Gi-Oh! The anomaly here, the horror is a little subtle. It's like you're being watched, and the camera takes pictures of you. And sometimes it's a little spooky. When you travel into the negatives in this world, it's kind of cool. But once we get to the basement and wrap up this anomaly, we get to face the film anomaly. It's a really cool boss in my opinion. It's a beautiful boss fight. You got a tangled mess of film strips and mechanical parts. And yeah, it's a cool fight. But after the fight, we get to take a group photo with everybody from Avon. It's a small moment, but for the first time, Zero is feeling like they found somewhere that they belong. And there's also a bunch of funny anime references, so that's cool. And then we get to move on to the next episode in the game, which may be everybody's favorite episode. Some may say it should be a side story, maybe even not be in the game at all, but I say enjoy it for what it is. I don't know, man. This shouldn't have been in the main story. That's just my opinion, though. But after the technical horrors of the Kodak studio, Neverness to Everness throws us a curveball. This episode is interesting. Tageydo, our resident chaotic mascot, is in love. He's fallen for Taco, and he's decided that the only way to win her heart is with the full, overwhelming support of the Avon crew. What follows is essentially a life sim episode disguised as a gacha RPG quest. It was something. I don't know. We spend a whole day prepping with Tageydo, helping him get dressed up. It's really this game's way of world building, in my opinion. It's the game's way of showing off the city's scale. We're not just fighting. Instead, we're shopping at a bunch of different stores. We're checking out the narrow wardrobe. We're browsing the Q cubed, I think it's like Q3 fashion. And we're picking out gifts for Taco from Tageydo. We're helping him. We're trying to get Tageydo laid. It grounds the player in the geography of the city. We get to go to Torchwood Avenue, Hankaku Street, Hillside Blooms. You start to feel like a resident, not just a visitor. So those are the cooler parts of the quest, and I see what they were trying to do in terms of world building. It's a neat idea. I would have been happy with it going another direction, possibly. There were some interesting parts, not interesting parts, but there were some fun references throughout the story. Like we got the Sasuke and Itachi reference, but the date itself, it's just like, it's a tragedy. Esper Zero and Adler are essentially acting as bodyguards / wingmen in the shadows for Tageydo, and this leads to some funny dialogue. But Nonali being Nonali, she tries to help by staging a fake fight in the White Parrot Street intersection so that Tageydo can look like a hero. Of course, she does take the role playing a little far, and you end up in a real duel with her, so you get to duel it out with Nonali, and that was fun. But after all this foreplay, the climax happens at the Blue Gaze campgrounds. Tageydo presents his big surprise, an Imaginado toy. It's essentially Play-Doh, but with a little imagination thrown in. In Hethereau, cute and safe rarely go together. The toy actually becomes an anomaly, and this results in a massive boss fight. The irony here is the very gift that Tageydo uses to express his love nearly destroys the campground where he's trying to have his date. It's the perfect microcosm of Neverness to Everness's world. The mundane and the monstrous are inseparable. The date ends with Adler basically swooping in and stealing Taco. He gets the girl in the end, and we love that for him. Alright, we made it through the dreadful part. If the last chapter was a romantic comedy, then the following chapter is our Ocean's 11, our bank heist, our Persona 5 heist. We move away from the quirky neighborhood vibes and into the dangerous high-money world of Hethereau's underground, the Sterry Express, and the infiltration that follows. The peace at Avon is broken when Nonali introduces Jensen, a man connected to Sterry Express. Sterry Express is a logistics company that deals in more than just mail. Their goal is to infiltrate a black market auction at a luxury venue called the Cape. This episode introduces Hethereau, the elite courier. We get a whole motorcycle chase sequence where we're chasing down a dude in order to copy his ticket to the auction, and it breaks the traditional walk and talk quest structure that we've gotten used to and gives us a little bit more action with the game's vehicles. We get to race all throughout the Unheard Shores district, and we get to sync this data stealing this ticket from Hethereau's bike, and it fits into the story perfectly. It is a really fun time compared to the dredge of the last story quest that we went through. We get introduced to Ji-Won, we get introduced to Haniel, and we get introduced to Hethereau. They are the Sterry Express's core, and there's another dude who's not a playable character, so is he even worth mentioning? We'll see if he becomes playable in the future. After we've got our ticket to the Ebisu auction hall, we head to the Cape. Once inside the Cape, the atmosphere shifts to tension. We participate in the auction using a unique trash talk and raise mechanic. You're not just clicking buttons or punching anomalies, you're outmaneuvering rivals. This is a pretty fun scene in the story where it's got some Ace Attorney references and you got Hattori popping off, and it's really entertaining. But the victory is short-lived. The item that Abon came for is stolen by a mysterious thief who looks a little bit like Red Riding Hood. She freezes time. The thief pays exactly 1 fawn, which is the lowest possible currency, which creates a little bit of a legal paradox. Because the item was technically paid for, the security systems, which only trigger on theft, are a little bit confused. It's a brilliant display of how people in this world have learned to hack the rules of anomalies for their criminal gain. However, due to Hethereau having her own time control abilities, we're able to go into a little bit of pursuit. The pursuit leads us through the collapsing geometry of the hotel. We meet Nantani, a helpful anomaly, which further blurs the line between anomalies and whether they're friends or foes, and there's some kind of in between. Not everything's black and white, we get a little bit of gray, and eventually we fight the final boss of the episode, the never-ending Arachne. The battle is quite a visual spectacle, but the real takeaway comes after the dust settles. We learn about the Circle, a shadow organization operating in the underground economy. They aren't just using anomalies, they're controlling them to shift the power balance of the city. Now, before we delve into the final arc of Neverness to Everness's 1.0 launch, we've got to talk about the stories that we get on the side. The spin-off episodes are a lot of fun in this game. The main story of NTE deals with organizations like the BAC and the Scarlet Letter, and the spin-off episodes deal with the weirdness of living in Hethereau. These stories are essential because they show us how anomalies aren't just monsters, and they help us to get closer to the characters in Hethereau. The first spin-off episode was obviously my favorite. We've got the Tomato Jelly Rampage. This quest is pure Neverness to Everness chaos. It starts with a simple premise. A popular snack, tomato jelly, is suddenly causing a public disturbance. But this isn't just a food safety issue. The jelly itself is becoming anomalous. As the Appraiser, we essentially get to play a supernatural janitor, and what makes this spin-off episode stick is the social commentary. Because Lacrimosa is being roasted on the internet and she's being accused of causing all these issues, it ends up manifesting as a meme anomaly that we have to fight. So this spin-off episode is really great because we get to spend time with my favorite character, but on top of that, it expands on the world and shows us what a meme anomaly is and how anomalies in Hethereau can take different forms. And I think that is a really important aspect for the world building in this universe. The next story quest, which I think should have just replaced Tageydo's quest, is Pawn Moonlight. This is a much more atmospheric, moody piece. It centers around a pawn shop and the idea of value. In Hethereau, people don't just pawn jewelry. They're able to pawn things that carry heavy emotional weight, such as a chef pawning off his ability to taste and smell for a pair of knives that help him cook the most amazing dish. Like, it's pretty crazy. But this quest explores a specific anomaly that feeds on light of memories associated with objects. It's a bit of a noir detective story. We're tracking down an item that was never supposed to be sold, a piece of moonlight trapped in an object. The spin-off introduces the idea that anomalies can be beautiful and melancholic, not just dangerous. It does highlight the Appraiser side of your character, where you're literally trying to sniff out the anomalies. And so you look at these objects, you see the history, and sometimes the haunting history element of these items. And it's a pretty cool quest that introduces some cool side characters, and I really wish that they delved more into this quest instead of the Tageydo dating episode. But that's neither here nor there. In terms of world building, I think that this quest could have a lot more to do further down the line in the main story quest than it leads on, especially with the twins that are introduced and their interesting Esper abilities. And then we've got Where Words Sprout, Fall Unfolds. This is perhaps the most poetic quest in the 1.0 launch. It deals with the concept of unspoken words. In a specific district, a seasonal anomaly causes words that were never said, confessions of love, apologies, secrets, to physically manifest as flowers and plants. It sounds beautiful, but as the Appraiser, you see the dark side. The fall unfolds. when these words start to wither and rot, causing emotional distress to the people who held them back. This quest is a bit of a deeper dive into the psychology of Hethereau's citizens. It's a quiet, narrative-heavy experience that reminds you that most dangerous anomalies aren't just the ones that break buildings, but the ones that break hearts. It was really cool in this quest to see some deaf or mute representation, and the way that Bai Sang communicates with the boy at the end of the story really is beautiful, and I highly recommend that you pay attention in this quest. I think it's a pretty interesting one. And then to wrap the spin-off episodes with a bang, we've got a legendary band's first page. This quest is a blast. If I didn't love Lacrimosa's character so much, this would probably take the cake for me. We have the rock and roll heart of the spin-offs. This quest is just School of Rock without Jack Black. It follows a group of aspiring magicians trying to make it in a city where literal monsters live in the sewers. Yeah, it's about Haniel wanting to start a band, and it's a lot of fun. The legendary question mark in the title is key. We're not legendary yet. The Woots are not legendary yet, and they may never be, but the quest is a lot of fun and the rhythm game is a lot of fun. The quest itself involves an anomaly that is stealing the sound or the inspiration from local artists. It's a high-energy story that celebrates the human spirit. Despite the anomalies, despite the BAC, and despite the shadow organizations, people still want to pick up a guitar and scream into the void. It gives the player something to fight for, the culture of the city itself. It's a really fun story, and I highly recommend that you go and play through it. And let's see if you could beat my Rock Band high score. It was a good time. I like that one a lot. But these 4 stories create a complete picture of Hethereau. It's a city that is absurd, melancholic, repressed, and hopeful all at once. Once you finish these, you realize that Avon isn't just an antique shop. It's a protector of these small human stories. And that brings us to the finale of 1.0, and probably the most tragic story that we've faced thus far. A story where the value of a life and the debt of living too long finally come due. The finale begins not with a bang, but with a sense of unease. It starts at Avon with a mysterious package delivered to Daffodil. Inside the package is a puppet, an uncanny lifelike and marked puppet with the number 0. We soon learn these puppets are appearing all over Hethereau, sparking rumors that people are being turned into dolls. This brings us back to the Bureau of Anomaly Control, where we meet Chaos and Lavinia. This meeting is crucial because it highlights the BAC's limitations. Even with their resources, they are baffled by the puppets, all of which carry a card marked 0. But the mystery takes a personal turn when Renee, a local taxi driver that we've seen around the city, walks into Avon. She isn't just the victim of a rumor, she's being hunted. Every night, a cloaked figure she calls the Debt Collector appears to claim her life. She carries a card similar to the puppets, but her number is different. She is in debt and time is running out. To understand what's going on, what do we gotta do? Do we go to the cops? Nope, we go to, well, the cops weren't able to help us. So we go visit Blackbird the Witch. Her role in the lore is vital. She explains rule-based anomalies. These aren't just monsters you can punch. They are living contracts. You can't kill a rule. You can only fulfill it or find a loophole. Through her divination, Blackbird reveals a shocking connection. Renee shares a fate with Dolores, the long-dead matriarch of the Constantine family. The Constantines were once a pillar in Hethereau's elite, but they vanished decades ago. Why is a simple taxi driver linked to a fallen dynasty? We end up receiving a formal invitation to the old Constantine estate. When the Avon crew arrives, reality fractures. You're pulled into an anomalous realm that is a perfect frozen snapshot of the estate from 50 years ago. Our team gets separated. You and Renee wander through the present, which looks like the past, while Nonali and Daffodil find themselves in a timeline that reveals the house's dark history. We meet Bella, the eldest daughter. She confirms the unthinkable. Renee is Dolores' daughter. But Renee doesn't look a day over 30. So how? The answer lies in the family's secret anomaly, the eternal present. Lady Dolores used this power to keep her family in a loop of immortality. But immortality isn't free. In Hethereau, nature abhors a vacuum, and it definitely abhors a debt. As you play through Nonnally and Daffodil's perspective, the horror peaks, but it's not all jump scare horrors. You discover that all of Dolores' children, except for Renee, were actually puppets brought to life by her powers. They weren't real in the biological sense. Renee was the only natural child, but her birth broke the spell, bringing a curse upon the family. The family didn't just fade away. They were consumed by the life debt they owed to reality for staying young for too long. Renee has been walking the earth for 50 years, unaware of the fact that she's just a living anomaly. She's accumulating a debt that the collector has finally come to harvest. Just as Renee is about to give up her eternal present to save the ghost of her mother, the mask falls. Bella was never there. The person guiding you was Zanku, an Esper from a criminal organization called the Scarlet Letter. Zanku's power is the ultimate violation. She can rewrite memories. She didn't want to help Renee. She wanted to manipulate her into releasing the eternal present so that the Scarlet Letter could weaponize it. The boss fight with Zanku is intense. It's a battle against someone who can make you doubt your own eyes. But just as you corner her, the debt collector arrives. He doesn't care about Zanku's schemes. He's just a force of nature who's trying to collect a debt. His target, Renee, is the source of that debt. So you get a battle with Zanku as Esper Zero. It's a 1v1. It's super cool. We get some really cool cutscenes. And then the whole gang comes together after Zanku makes her little getaway and you have to battle the debt collector. Another really cool fight. And then we wrap all that up. And we're getting closer and closer to 1.0's end. The aftermath of the battle is where the biggest lore bombshell drops. As Zanku escapes, Daffodil reveals the truth that she's been carrying. Zanku is her sister. Not by blood, but by upbringing. Their mother is the leader of the Scarlet Letter, the infamous Madame T. This recontextualizes everything. The stolen item from the auction? Scarlet Letter. The puppets? Scarlet Letter. Daffodil isn't just a hunter at Avon. She is a defector from the very organization that is trying to dismantle the city's stability. Scarlet Letter. Duh. And the episode ends back at Avon. Renee is safe, her debt is settled, and she is finally free to age and live a normal life. But the cost was high. The Constantine legacy is gone, and the Scarlet Letter has declared war on the status quo of Hethereau. And that's it. We're kind of left hanging. They started off with a dating otter and we end with a banger of a quest. I was a bit disappointed to not have any more main story to go through and for them to end on such a cliffhanger, but I was very happy when I realized that the story will continue in patch 1.1. Version 1.0 of Neverness to Everness begins with the Appraiser falling from the sky and ends with the realization that the city's past is coming back to haunt its future in patch 1.1. We've gone from fighting sentient picture frames to uncovering a global conspiracy involving memory theft and artificial life. So, yeah. I'm really looking forward to patch 1.1. I thought that the story overall really picked up pace towards the end, and I hope that they keep that pace going. I am excited. I'm very curious to find out who this Scarlet Letter's Madame T is. I'm curious to find out more about Zanku and her connection to Daffodil. I'm sure we'll get some really cool battles there. And I'm really curious to see if we could find out more about our backstory as Esper Zero. I'm sure that that is a ways down the line though, so no point in really speculating on that now. But yeah, now that these deep dark secrets on Daffodil's past are out in the open, can the Avon family stay together? Will we make it through? I'm sure we will. But Hethereau is a city that is built on anomalies, and if Renee's story taught us anything, it's that eventually all debts must be paid. That was a cringe way to end things. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this lore deep dive where we covered all of 1.0's story and spin-off quests, a like would be greatly appreciated. These were a lot of words that I had to say, and it was a lot of work, but if you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated, and if you want to see future Neverness to Everness content, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.